Commentary of St. John Chrysostom, Archbishop of Constantinople, on the Epistle of St. Paul, the Apostle, to the Galatians. This is the LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Commentary on Galatians by St. John Chrysostom, translated by Gross Alexander. Chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Paul, an apostle, not from men, neither through man, but through Jesus Christ, and God the Father, who raised him from the dead, and all the brethren which are with me unto the churches of Galatia, grace to you and peace from God the Father and our Lord Jesus Christ. The exordium is full of a vehement and lofty spirit, and not the exordium only, but also, so to speak, the whole epistle. For always to address one's disciples with mildness, even when they need severity, is not the part of a teacher, but it would be the part of a corrupter and an enemy. Wherefore our Lord too, though he generally spoke gently to his disciples, here and there uses sterner language, and at one time pronounces a blessing, at another a rebuke. Thus having said to Peter, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, Matthew 16:17, and having promised to lay the foundation of the church upon his confession, shortly afterwards he says, Get thee behind me, Satan, thou art a stumbling block unto me. Matthew 16:23. Again, on another occasion, Are ye also even yet without understanding? Matthew 15:16. And what awe he inspired them with appears from John's saying, that when they beheld him conversing with a Samaritan woman, though they reminded him to take food, no one ventured to say, What seekest thou? Or why speakest thou with her? John 4:27. Thus taught, and walking in the steps of his Master, Paul hath varied his discourse according to the need of his disciples, at one time using knife and cautery, at another applying mild remedies. To the Corinthians he says, What will ye? Shall I come unto you with a rod, or in love, and in a spirit of meekness? 1 Corinthians 6:21. But to the Galatians, O foolish Galatians, Galatians 3:1. And not once only, but a second time also he has employed this reproof, and towards the conclusion he says with a reproachful allusion to them, Let no man trouble me, Galatians 6:17. But he soothes them again with the words, My little children, of whom I am again in travail, Galatians 4:19, and so in many other instances. Now that this epistle breathes an indignant spirit is obvious to every one, even on the first perusal. But I must explain the cause of his anger against the disciples. Slight and unimportant it could not be, or he would not have used such vehemence. For to be exasperated by common matters is the part of the little-minded, morose, and peevish, just as it is that of the more redolent and sluggish to lose heart in weighty ones. Such a one was not Paul. What then was the offense which aroused him? It was grave and momentous, one which was estranging them all from Christ, as he himself says further on, Behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if ye receive circumcision, Christ will profit you nothing. Galatians 5:2. And again, Ye who would be justified by the law, ye are fallen away from grace. Galatians 5:4. What then is this? For it must be explained more clearly. Some of the Jews who believed, being held down by the prepossessions of Judaism, and at the same time intoxicated by vainglory, and desirous of obtaining for themselves the dignity of teachers, came to the Galatians, and taught them that the observance of circumcision, Sabbaths, and new moons was necessary, and that Paul, in abolishing these things, was not to be borne. For, said they, Peter and James and John, the chiefs of the apostles and the companions of Christ, forbade them not. Now, in fact, they did not forbid these things, but this was not by way of delivering positive doctrine, but in condescension to the weakness of the Jewish believers, which condescension Paul had no need of when preaching to the Gentiles. But when he was in Judea, he employed it himself also. But these deceivers, by withholding the causes both of Paul's condescension and that of his brethren, misled the simpler.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?